top of this one. I'm sorry, guys. Let me step away just for a moment, and I promise you I will expedite this. Right. I'm Sheila Jackson Lee. I represent the 18th Congressional District, and I am delighted to have a fancy new mic, and I thank Ms. Hernandez for being so talented. I chair the Crime Committee in the United States Congress. Needs to be turned down. And that's a legislative position. I have dealt with the criminal justice laws of this nation for almost 28 years as a member of the United States Congress. But I'm here as a mother, as a neighbor. And I'd asked Bishop Dixon if he would join us as a father and a pastor. The family was excited that you would be able to join. And I've been hurting for a very long time after hearing first the stories by the news about Delano Burkes, not even knowing this family. First time I heard about it through the news, as we get our news clips in Washington. It disturbed me. And then to be able to meet the family, which is a very large extended family, including his wife, his mother and father, grandparents, sisters and brothers, friends. And knowing that something had to go wrong. I continued to hurt, but believed that there was no hurting that could supersede getting the job done and getting facts. And then I came upon, as we proceeded to listen to the family and listen to his mother, Karen, about all the potential angles, and even look at some of the video which the media has already seen, to know that there were locations where he could not be seen, and that required great interest. But in our discussions with the coroner last week, coroner made it clear. There's no determination of death. It is pending the further investigation by law enforcement. Now let me thank the Houston Police Department and the command staff that has been working with missing persons, and now this goes into another area. I don't want to make any declaration of homicide. I am not a police officer, but it will be in that area for there to be more facts about how Mr. Burkes may have died. And under the law, homicide has many definitions. But what I think is important today is that we come to the public. We ask the public that if on that date of November 13, 13 Saturday and moving into the 14th on Sunday, if they can remember seeing Mr. Burkes and seeing any information, and particularly in those moments when he disappeared from cameras. He was having a good time, as many young people do on the weekend. But his father and his mother know him as a good man. And all families have challenges, but all family members deserve to be found. So in the finding of Mr. Burkes, we then came upon information and an announcement that 3 men had been found in waterways, and that the police were investigating the seeming lack of coincidence or coincidence, whichever way you want to look at it. Ridge Cole, who came here for his child's surgery, Delano Burkes, going out on the town, and a young man by the name of Torres was the latest person found in Buffalo Bayou, all in the 20s and 30s. I'm here today to ask the community that if you have any information, and I would say about any of these individuals, but in this instance we're standing with the family of Delano Burkes, please come forward. It's not too late. It's not been a month, and I know your memory is strong. And we hope that you can send this information to Crime Stoppers or the Houston Police Department. I want to thank Crime Stoppers for working with the community all the time, and even with their record of comforting families, which many people don't know, their record of solving crime. So Rainier, I'd appreciate it if you would come forward at this time, share with you Crime Stoppers' role, and I think you understand the depth of pain of this family.
I want to thank you, Congresswoman, for having us. I'm Rania Mancario, CEO of Crime Stoppers of Houston. Of course, we want to begin by sending our sincerest condolences to the Burkes family. You know, for 42 years, we have been very ingrained in the community, and we are everywhere there is a need, offering our tip line, our free resources, anything we can possibly do to help law enforcement solve critical cases and to bring closure to families who are hurting. We're doing that today, joining the Congresswoman, Bishop Dixon, the Burkes family, and pleading with the community. Someone, somewhere, knows something.
That's right.
And the smallest detail is helpful. You could call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 713-222-TIPS. You can go through 713-222-TIPS or 8477. You can go through our mobile app or go through our website. We will never know who you are. We never capture information. That information will go directly to law enforcement that's actively investigating this case, and as the Congresswoman said, the 2 other cases that may or may not be connected, we do not know. Ultimately, closure is critical for the family, but it's also critical for Houston. We need to know who commits these crimes, if there is a crime in fact that has occurred, so that they are not free to reoffend other members of our community. He is their son, he is their brother, but he is a husband, but he's also our son, our brother, our husband, a valuable member of this community and one that we need all hands on deck to protect and support. Our sincerest condolences again. Crime Stoppers will keep showing up every time, every case where there is a need, where there is a lack of information. We will be there calling for that information, large or small, to help law enforcement in this ongoing investigation. And Congresswoman, we thank you for being here, no matter when, no matter where, you show up for this community, and we thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Andy Kahn, as well, and thank you, family members who have been with this family for a very long time. Thank you so very much for your dedication and commitment, and the pain that you show for this family. Karen has been, as I've come to call her, unceasing and unrelenting regarding her beloved and very wonderful son. She's a mother of 2 sons, and she loves all of her family, her extended family, and his brothers and sisters. They're all part of her family. And so I want Karen to come, and as she comes, then I will ask Bishop Dixon, Senior Pastor of Community of Faith, President of the NAACP, but more important, someone who has lifted up humanity in all the work that he has done. And then you'll hear from him, and we'll open it up for questions. Karen, please. And would you introduce your family and, of course, your support system, please, as you come. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman, you've been extremely helpful, and we really appreciate that. I have my son here, with my oldest son here, Stephen Burkes. This is Delano's dad, and this is his wife, Autumn Burkes, Peachy Monet Burkes, Leslie Crow, his uncle, and his other brother, Pierre Burkes. Oh, also, Amy Schroeder, she has been extremely helpful. She's been with me the whole time, and we stay on the phone really late at night, try to figure some things out, and also Crime Stoppers as well. We are very consistent with the belief that our son, brother, family was drugged. I believe that he did not have control of his legs. He would have not lasted long enough to run far enough to make it to a body of water to be found in, to have gotten into the bayou, Buffalo Bayou, that led to the port. And if he had gone in at White Oak Bayou, the water wasn't consistent enough or high enough to carry him throughout that time to the Buffalo Bayou. So we believe that something else happened. We do believe that people know about it, someone knows about it. Hopefully someone can help us, give us some tips as to where and what could have happened with him. The phone number is 713-222-TIPS. They've been working with us, and hopefully we can get the community to help us as well. We are desperately in need of some answers here.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you again.
I just want to make sure that we acknowledge Mr. Burkes, his dad, who has been passionate. We're going to have the bishop speak, and then we're going to have you speak, Mr. Burkes. Okay? Yes. Thank you so very much. And as I said, let me welcome Bishop James Dixon. When we spoke, I never saw someone rise so quickly to express his deep sympathy and asked me whatever he can do. He wanted to know, you to know how much he cared for the family. That is the way Bishop Dixon is, and his presence and help is something I welcome Bishop James Dixon.
Thank you, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who mothers the whole city, it seems. And we've seen her in this place so many times, and we honor you for that and all the work that you do. And certainly to the Crime Stoppers team as well, for all the work that you do, and to this family today. I regret meeting you under these circumstances, but we understand the fact that we really are one family. And when something happens to one household, it happens to our household at large. We all occupy the same city. We drive the same streets. We eat in the same restaurants. We drink the same water. So what happens to one happens to all of us. And so today, I've come today to pledge support on behalf of our church, the NACP, the Houston Metropolitan Ministers Conference with Pastor Sam Gilbert, but to say to you, you have unceasingly been in our prayers, unceasingly been in our prayers. And I have spoken several times with our Congresswoman saying whatever we can do. And I know that these are the times where you feel almost helpless. But I hope that you will be inspired by our presence today to know that sometimes the arc of justice is long, but it does bend towards justice. We will be in this fight with you to determine whatever the facts there are to be found. But we too want to urge, as others have, anyone who has any information concerning this circumstance, please do the moral thing. Do what you would want done if this was your son, your husband, your brother, your friend. No one would want to be standing where this family is today under any circumstance, and certainly knowing that someone has vital information that you could share to help bring just closure to this unfortunate tragedy. We're going to be spreading this word throughout our churches, throughout our community, making sure that everyone knows that the life of Delano Burkes matters. And it matters to all of us. Thank you, Congresswoman, for these moments. And whatever we can do beyond a press conference, do know that you have our full and unwavering support and concern. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. What a contribution, Bishop. Thank you so very much. I think if we begin to add more persons to this role of trying to determine what may have happened, we may get where we need to be. Let me remind you that the police are now investigating 3 men who wound up in waterways. There's something tragic and something strange. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but that is something tragic and something strange.
Very peculiar.
And I want to acknowledge that this gentleman who came for his child's surgery, and we remember when he was missing now that and everyone was looking for him, and he winds up in a waterway. And Delano winds up in a waterway, and Mr. Torres winds up in a waterway. So let me, before we take questions, ask Mr. Burkes, his dad, to come and as well be able to speak. This is Mr. Burkes.
Hello, I'm Stephen Burkes. And I do want to thank you all. We do appreciate you all's support in everything that goes with this tragedy that we're dealing with. But I just want to continue to ask Houston in general to please just extend your support and assistance in helping us all find closure for this tragedy. I want to thank Miss Sheila Jackson Lee, Bishop, Crime Stoppers, Amy. We're still looking for answers, y'all. And we need them.
Okay, there you go. And his wife, Mrs. Burkes, has been with the family all along. We'd like her to speak at this time.
I think I definitely want to thank everybody who's showed their support throughout this entire time to our family. And I think as long with everybody else that has basically said that we just need closure. We need answers. We need somebody to speak up. Delano was a kind, sweet, generous person, and somebody like that doesn't just randomly end up in the ship channel. So I think for sure, as a community, we need to speak up and realize that this could have been your husband, your brother, your sister, your son, and that we need answers. And at this point, I feel like it's been quite some time and we're not really getting any answers from anyone. And I know that Houston's very large. Someone's seen something. So I definitely just encourage everybody to speak up as if it was one of your family members, so that we can get closure and justice for everything that's been going on with Delano. Thank you.
Let me finish and just say that young people go out. There's nothing wrong with that. Young people have good times. Young people have friends. In this instance, we had odd behavior, but we have no facts. So we're asking you to help us. This was in and around the Heights area. I love the Heights. I represent the Heights. People come to the Heights to enjoy themselves. Bishop Dixon said this is where he's from, and so we want people to do that. But we want to be able to find out the facts. And again, I know the bayous like the back of my hand. That's a White Oak bayou. But we've got finding Mr. Burkes in the ship channel, in the port. Others in the Buffalo Bayou. Water does move. But again, 3 young men in varying ages. And I think this has caught the attention of our law enforcement. We want it to catch the attention of our community. You see something, say something. You have the ability to be anonymous, 713-222-TIPS. And you can call anonymously to the Houston Police Department. With that, we'll take any questions.
Congresswoman, did the medical examiners have a timeline on when their report will be ready?
The medical examiner indicated that they are at a pause to hear from the law enforcement as to what they have been able to determine further. Found someone, found witnesses to say something different. I assume the family, since we were together, the body had been in the water for a period of time, and so we are being restrained by that. The medical examiner is being restrained by that. But in any event, they are now waiting on the actions of the police. So that's the time frame that they're using.
So all the report, the tests have already been run?
Oh, no, the toxicology reports have not come in yet. And they did say that was going to take a while to come in, but they have sent those away. Mother, you allow me, the DNA was affirmed that it was him by the fingerprints by the Department of Public Safety, to the family's satisfaction. But we do not have a final determination of the coroner on the medical examiner as the cause. I just want to repeat, there's a lot of video out in the public arena, I think, and there are places where he disappeared and then came out again, and there are signs of wobbling, And I don't know if anyone is taking a measuring tape as to where he was to where the body of water was, which is the White Oak Bayou. But I think all of that needs to be looked into, as tedious as it might seem. All of that needs to be looked at. Where he was in a main thoroughfare, and then to get to that area. And these other gentlemen here, how did they wind up in those circumstances? And I guess I'm going into these facts. It looks like none of these individuals were in cars. They were all on their feet. So it wasn't a car going into the bayou, as I understand it.
Was there any video footage of inside of McIntyre's car when he was exiting to leave inside of the bar?
Yes.
Karen?
There is video footage of it. We don't have it. We haven't seen it ourselves, but the police do have it.
Yes.
As-
Police law enforcement telling you, I guess, are they running into a roadblock to trying to investigate this?
As of right now, from my understanding, we're waiting for the toxicology report, and we've been told that could take as much as 3 to 6 months. So we, hopefully, we can get it a little sooner, but that's what we've been told right now.
We're hoping, we're having this press conference because we're hoping that this will encourage someone to refresh their memory as to where they were on those days in November preceding Thanksgiving. And that if we get more tips, we can give that to law enforcement, and they can be doing 2 actions at once. The toxicology report, but as well investigating these leads over and over again, if you will. And then maybe they are also making an assessment on these 3 that they now have, and to see whether there's any connection to the loss of these 3 young men, and the fact that they were found in a bayou, in a water area. And how did they get there? And I don't want to put on my investigation hat, but they were not driving, they were all seemingly walking on foot, and they wind up deceased and in water. And there could be some overlying and overlaying circumstances. This family is not saying that. They just want to get the facts and the truth. And I assume and would offer my sympathy to these other families, and that they too would want the truth and the facts.
Can I say? If there's anyone that does live in that Heights area, along that bayou, well, run along that bayou or bike along that bayou, and you may have seen him on the 13th or the 14th, he would have been stumbling around. I know it's a very active area, very active walking, bike trail, and hiking trail. So if he was there, he would have, even if he had fallen and maybe went to sleep and woke back up, he still wouldn't have been in his right mind, and he still would have probably been fumbling about. So it would have been pretty good to remember him. So just try to recollect.
And a big guy, big man, you want to tell him?
Yes, and he didn't look like he should be on the bayou running. He was dressed in, clothes.
And how tall is he?
He's actually 5'11". He's
Okay.
5'11", 200 pounds. He's works out, has always worked out. He's very athletic. But the last time we saw him, he was not, his mobility was off. So also, one of the things that I want to stress too is that we need to see if we can get all of the video footage. I know that sometimes after 30 days, this video footage lapses, and it'll record over what's existing. And that'll basically, if we don't get that footage, that could potentially erase some of the evidence. So and it was actually around the 12th, it was the 12th and the 13th, but this would have been Saturday, so this would have been Saturday the 12th and then Sunday the 13th. But Saturday, he was in that Heights area. He was at Austin's, he was at McIntyre, he was at Moonshine Deck, he was at Wooster's, he was at Ross Sushi, he was at Holman's. Those are all of the locations that we know of that he was at that day. So if you guys can check your video footage and see if you see anything that can give us some tips as to anything, the people he was with, maybe if he was eating something. From my understanding, he didn't eat anything, but we do have a little bit of evidence from that we're not going too much in detail with, but from the forensics that we need to know if he ate and where he ate. That'll help us a lot with our research that we've been doing. So, thank you.
Thank you so very much, Karen, Mr. Burkes, to the family, to Delano's wife, family members, Amy, and to Andy Rainier. For Crime Stoppers, Bishop Dixon, thank you. And again, thank you for giving us the expanse of churches, church family, NAACP. I think it'll go a long way. So I'll just conclude by saying I worked in Washington with missing and exploited children for many, many years. And so persons who are missing have a special place in my concern, my legislative history, and it transcends and translates to this community where we've had any number of missing persons. Families have been devastated. Delano was missing for a period of time, and the family had wished beyond hope, or wished with hope, that he might have been found somewhere, some hospital, some place where they could have brought him home alive. That did not befall them. That did not happen to them. In the midst of Thanksgiving and a season that we all want to be with family, we not only have Delano Burkes, but we have many families, but in this instance, in this scenario, we have two other families who've had this same struggle. And so we're asking, in the spirit of this time of year, this holiday, time that we all want to be with our family, we're asking you, Houston, to let us know any facts that might be helpful to this grieving family. And again, Crime Stoppers is objective, and it is non-condemning. All they do is take the information, 713-222-TIPS, and there is a...
If it is determined that foul play or homicide is an issue, of course, Crime Stoppers reward is always available up to $5,000. So we're waiting on HPD and the investigation for that front. That's always available.
Thank you. So help this family find the truth in this time when families want to be together. And I thank the media, too, for their interest in this. I think this is going to make a big difference to find some solace, some comfort for this family. All right. You're the mom.
Okay. Also, in order for his phone records to be pinged, or his location to be pinged, it has to be considered a crime. And as of now, it's not considered a crime. It's in limbo. It's a missing person homicide. That's why it's so imperative that we get the citizens to assist us, because we don't even know where his phone last picked up satellite. So it's so important to get the citizens involved.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you so much.